Quick summary and maybe a clarification, and then we'll jump in with our two guests. Yesterday we talked a fair amount about House Bill 1502, which was there was a motion to reconsider that was entered on the Senate floor. That will happen this morning, and potentially a vote will come down on House Bill 1502. That is the hemp bill, as it has been talked about. Originally, it was the Hemp Cultivation Act, renamed the Mississippi Hemp Act. It is an amendment to the Mississippi Code of 1972. I won't bore you with the section number. So here's the clarification I wanted to throw out. I think as we were discussing this yesterday, I did not do a good job of talking about one of the things that specifically this bill will do, because we kind of got off in the weeds, no pun intended, about edibles and candies and stuff that you see on the shelves and the regulation of all of those items. And, of course, hemp drink, or THC drink, as probably more accurately should be discussed, was part of that conversation as well. One of the things that happens with this piece of legislation, House Bill 1502, all of that stuff, with the exception of the drink, goes away. All of the unregulated hemp product, including synthetic hemp, that is currently available in gas stations goes away if House Bill 1502 is put into law, but you will still have the hemp drink, or the THC drink, available for purchase in gas stations, grocery stores, convenience stores, retail locations. So just wanted to offer that clarification as we begin, and I welcome in a pair of guests this morning. Lee Yancey, he represents District 74 in the House. He's chair of the House Business and Commerce Committee. And Phillip Chamblee, who is executive director of the Mississippi Petroleum Marketers Association, represents convenience stores as well. Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning, Richard. How are you doing? This is Lee.
Lee, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in. Phillip, good to see you as well.
Good to see you, Richard. How are you this morning?
Great, and I appreciate you reaching out yesterday and saying, hey, let's talk about this a little bit more.
Absolutely.
A lot of discussions. It's fascinating. Let's start here. I feel like this is a bill that largely, in terms of the public, has flown under the radar for most of this session. And it has all of a sudden popped up. Friday we got the conference report. Lots of people are talking about it. Pretty spirited debate on the Senate floor yesterday as well. And here we are with today being a really important day.
Richard, this is Lee Yancey. This is my bill. 1502 is my bill. This is a bill that was going to get these products out of the convenience store, the products that you hear about children having to go to the hospital from eating these gummies. The problem we have is back in 2018, the Farm Bill in Washington legalized all products below 0.3% THC for hemp. Basically, hemp and marijuana are the same plant, and the immature plant is the hemp, and the mature plant is the marijuana. And based on the amount of THC in it, it's kind of where that dividing line was made in the Farm Bill. And products that had less than 0.3% THC by dry weight were considered hemp. Anything above that was considered marijuana. Everything that we're talking about in this bill is below the 0.3% THC. It's all in the hemp realm. It's not in the marijuana realm. So even the drink. I've got, I had Ole Miss to look at the hemp drink right now. And by the way, these are already being sold in the gas stations. These are already being sold in the supermarkets.
Right.
And they will continue to be, and it will become more and more rampant throughout our state. And we had a chance to stop this yesterday, and because of a knee-jerk reaction from some people, from lobbyists, from law enforcement listening to lobbyists who had not read the bill, from radio misinformation, we are very much in danger of not having these products out of the gas stations like we could have. And this hemp drink is the Shirley Temple of hemp drinks. It is so weak that I don't know that anyone could get intoxicated off of it. Right now, according to the Farm Bill, 0.3% THC, they could put up to 80 milligrams of THC in there, and we limit it to 5 milligrams. And 3 professors from Ole Miss, I said, how does that relate to the 0.3 THC? They said it is 0.0014%. It is 1/1400th of a percent of THC in that product that doesn't affect anyone. It is weak. It is the Shirley Temple of hemp drinks. And for that one concession, we could have gotten rid of Delta 8, Delta 10, Delta 6, THCA, THCO, HHC, and every law enforcement officer in the state should be at the Capitol pushing for the passage of this bill.
All right, so THC Delta 9 is what is in the hemp drink. Is that correct? Or the THC drink is probably what we should be calling it?
That's right. Well, Delta 9 is what's considered, so in THC, in hemp and in marijuana, there is a limited amount of THC. It's an immature marijuana plant. And so what they are doing is they extract that THC from the hemp and they place it in that drink or they place it in those products synthetically. And they can gather enough, because there's just tiny amounts, and they gather enough, or they say that's how they do it, and create these drinks. So Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, these are all just one molecule difference in the chemistry diagram, but the Delta 9 is what's considered,
So let me push back on one thing. In your list of things of misinformation, you mentioned radio. I'm assuming that was talking about me or this program. That's fine.
I was yelling at you in my truck yesterday.
That's okay. Calling this the Shirley Temple of drinks to me is a bit disingenuous because Shirley Temple does not have alcohol in it, and this has 5 milligrams of THC in it. So that's not exactly a direct comparison, is it?
5 milligrams inside of something that contains 355,000 milligrams is 0.0014. 5 milligrams out of 355,000 milligrams. That's what 12 ounces is.
Yeah, we're talking about a 12-ounce can of liquid.
You're talking about a drop into an entire 12-ounce can.
Yeah.
It is a gimmick. It is.
Well, if it's a gimmick, why is it selling so hot, and why are so many people buying it?
Because it's not regulated now, and they're selling it at much higher levels. We were lowering it way down to 5 milligrams.
Okay. Phillip, let me ask you this: why is the drink a carve-out? Why do we look at all of the products that are in the gas stations and convenience stores right now and say, okay, we got to get rid of all of this stuff, but we're going to carve out and leave the drink as part of what is available for consumers?
Well, first of all, Richard, let me just tell you this before we get into that. The Convenience Store Association of Mississippi, we've got about 2,900 convenience stores, employs about 46,000 people, okay? Not all stores are my members. And we have worked with Chairman Yancey, Chairman Blackwell on this bill since last year. We have worked with the Mississippi Department of Revenue, ABC Division, Dr. Edney and the Health Department. The medical marijuana industry was involved in this. Also, a representative who represents, to my understanding, the Police Chiefs Association, the Sheriff's Association. We worked on this for an entire year. Chairman Yancey, Chairman Blackwell have done a great job. We came to an agreement on this bill, okay? And then right at the end, the police chiefs and the sheriffs voiced opposition to the bill, even though their representative, as you had agreed to everything, okay? Look, what we're wanting to do is regulate the good stuff and get rid of the bad stuff. That's simply what this bill did. A vote yes regulates it.
So we are classifying the THC drink as good stuff.
Well, this is why. The THC drink is legal under the Farm Bill as long as it's under 0.3%.
Right.
It's already legal. And when the legislature passed the Hemp Act in 2020, nobody foresaw all this stuff. There's no age gate in there. So none of this stuff is illegal to sell right now in terms of age gating. Let me put it that way. They don't have to check an ID. So had this bill been enforced, those 6 children wouldn't have gotten sick in Yazoo City last week. And when you look at the THC drinks...
So as it stands right now, my 14-year-old daughter could walk into a gas station and buy a hemp drink that's available?
CBD store, gas station, it doesn't matter. There's no age gate on that. And
she could buy Delta 8 that looks like a nerd rope.
Right.
And it's packaged to look like a nerd rope.
Yeah.
And this bill, what it was going to do, Richard, it was going to get rid of all the synthetic hemp, which is basically recreational marijuana, the Delta 8 and the Delta 10. Okay.
On that, we agree. Absolutely. That we have legalized recreational marijuana in Mississippi right now in terms of what is available in the gas stations.
And this bill would have gotten rid of that. And so the hemp drinks are legal under the Farm Bill, and this has nothing to do with the Food and Drug Administration. You'll hear that sidebar. And what we were trying to do was regulate and protect
Philip, I'm sorry.
citizens.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. We've got a commercial break. We'll continue this conversation on the other side. It's Mornings with Richard Cross. Back with you on Mornings with Richard Cross. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday morning. Kind of a heavy topic for 7 a.m., but that's what we do sometimes. Lee Yancey is with us. He represents Rankin County, District 74 in the Mississippi House of Representatives. He is the author of House Bill 1502. Phillip Chamblee, Executive Director of the Mississippi Petroleum Marketers Association, works in conjunctions with many of the convenience stores across the state of Mississippi. Philip, you were talking when we went to a break. I'm sorry I had to interrupt you. Those commercial breaks don't wait on anyone. You, me, anybody. So let's pick up where we left off.
Yeah, and so what we were trying to do with this bill, it would have protected the public, the citizens of Mississippi. Once again, the drinks below 3% THC, 0.3%, are legal under the Farm Bill. There's, I think, maybe 20 states trying to regulate and control this. Currently, when you see a convenience store that's a member of mine, I doubt very seriously any of my members are selling the loose leaf, the flower, the Delta 8, the Delta 10, all those type things. And the beer industry took it upon themselves, the association here in Mississippi. They have basically, when they offer these to sell to a convenience store, they have to sign an agreement that says, hey, I will age gate these products. And so in the convenience store industry, as I mentioned yesterday to you, we check more IDs than the TSA does every day. We are an expert at checking IDs. To give you an example, when vaping came down, and we supported the vape registry bill this year, FDA statistics will prove to you that when a minor is in possession of a vape, they have got it from a family member, at school, online, a vape store. I've got the other one, and we're the last place. We have the highest compliance rate, the lowest complaint rate for checking IDs. So we're very good at what we do. And so this bill was going to protect people, get rid of the things that are basically recreational marijuana. And you'll hear people say, well, this was the first step toward recreational marijuana. Well, if this bill dies, you've got recreational marijuana, in my opinion, with the Delta 8 and Delta 10. And I'll let Chairman Yancey address that because he knows more about this. He's more knows on the science side, but that's just my opinion.
And Lee, I think that what Philip just said is an important part of this conversation. If this bill doesn't pass, whether you're for the bill or against it, you've got concerns about it. If this bill doesn't pass, these synthetic products, these hemp products, the stuff that is not regulated stays on the shelves in gas stations until at least a year from now when the legislature can address it again. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. And last year, my bill made it all the way to conference. It had 6 conferees' signatures. It was brought up on the House side. A point of order was called because we had added code sections to allow the Department of Health to regulate it. And then someone on the House floor called a point of order, so we had to go back and take those code sections out, sign it again, send it back to the Senate, and a Senate chairman single-handedly refused to bring it up and killed it last year. I've been working on getting these products out of the gas station for about 5 years now. And for some reason, every year it gets thwarted. And there's this huge push by those who represent these intoxicating hemp products, and they hide behind whether it's the hemp drink or they hide behind packs that don't really exist, fake packs that target preachers.
Is this the black money we're talking about?
Yes, absolutely. And they say we're trying to legalize recreational marijuana, and what they're trying to do is to kill the bill so their products can remain in the gas station.
Okay.
And everyone buys into it, and it drives me crazy. Every year we're trying to get rid of this stuff.
Let me ask you this, Representative Yancey. We have a section of the industry that is highly regulated in terms of the dispensaries, and they are watched over very, very closely. Why not, if this needs to stay on the market, have them be the ones that are able to sell and distribute, because they're already watched over. They already are very much part of the regulation process, as opposed to making it readily available in gas stations, convenience stores?
These products in the gas station and convenience store are not conducive for our medical cannabis dispensary. Number one, this is a totally different product that is supposed to be less than 0.3% THC by dry weight, and we could go into how they do it. There is a period between dry weight and finished product where the product matures, and the THC, which was 0.3, matures into sometimes 10, 20 times higher than it was when it was tested.
And is that because it's a synthetic?
It is something called carbonization that takes place. It is a chemistry. It's the product deteriorating. Maybe it's one of these molecules falling off. I don't know exactly how it occurs, but the product the THC continues to mature so that you can get higher off the product after it's been packaged and sat on the shelves for months. Mm-hmm. And they know this, and so they are obeying the letter. They're obeying the letter of the law, but they're able to sell these products that make people high in the gas station. And so that's not what we're looking for. I mean, in the medical cannabis dispensaries, we're trying to provide products that explore different cannabinoids within the cannabis plant to affect certain debilitating conditions. And we've got our researchers at Ole Miss working hard every day trying to determine what helps epilepsy the most, what helps multiple sclerosis, what helps cancer pain, what helps people who can't eat because they have throat cancer, and how do you keep them from losing so much weight that they die or that they have to get a feeding tube. And so there is a science to this that we're trying to protect, and this is a black market over here that's invaded our gas stations and turned our gas stations into these third world drugstores that have Kratom and Delta 8 and on and on and on with no age limit. Anybody can walk in there and get anything.
Yeah. And one thing, Richard, you're exactly right, Chairman Yancey. One thing in this bill, it required everything to have a certificate of analysis, just like a soft drink or a beer. It had to be done by a lab approved by the Mississippi Department of Health. Okay? So none of these things are being tested now. And this bill was going to make the product safer. You had to have a test that you passed. It had to be a lab that was approved by the Department of Health. The other thing this bill did, the Department of Health had the purview to the packaging. A lot of these packages in some CBD stores and wherever is very conducive to children. It's very colorful.
Yeah, it looks like candy or games
exactly.
Yeah.
And so the Department of Health was going to have the authority to say, no, it has to be in basically a brown package or whatever. Okay. So, I mean, this bill, it's mind-numbing to me. What we were trying to do and what Chairman Yancey and Chairman Blackwell and everybody was trying to do that was involved in this is create a safe area, for lack of a better word, and that's not a good word, but a safe product, number one, that's tested, that you know where it came from, you know what's in it, and all these type of things, and get rid of the things that are synthesized. And Chairman Yancey, his best example, going back to how it gets stronger, well, I remember one day in a committee meeting, he said, well, it's so complicated, but the simplest way to think about it is it's sort of like you go into the store to buy green bananas. Okay, so and then a week
you bring
and a half
them home and they ripen. And they're edible.
And that's a good way to talk about the carbonization process or whatever that word was, Chairman Yancey used.
Where does the testing happen going forward? Will that happen in Mississippi?
So the testing for which product?
Well, I mean, assuming that, I guess I'm making an assumption that the bill passes and you've got these drinks that are going into stores,
sure,
and there is regulation. Sure. So is the testing to make sure that they are within the limits happening in Mississippi?
Yes, our medical cannabis testing labs are capable of doing that, but we left it open with the Department of Health that they could choose whichever labs that they would like to choose. They can choose those labs, they can choose their own lab, they can choose the state crime lab. If that's so backed up, they probably wouldn't choose that. But there are a number of labs they could choose.
Okay. I don't want to get hung up on the 5 milligrams that we were talking about, but just for a clarification, is 5 milligrams in this drink the same 5 milligrams that medical cannabis stores have in a single gummy?
Well, this year we changed the units on the gummies because. I mean, I don't know how deeply you want to go into this subject, but when we created the medical cannabis program 3 years ago.
Calculus and chemistry were not necessarily my strong suits.
And I'm not saying they are mine either, but I've been forced into this role when I was made drug policy chairman 4 years ago. And now I'm not drug policy chairman, but I'm the person who knows about all this stuff, and so I still get to dabble in it. So we use the Missouri Cannabis Unit to establish that 3.5 grams of flour equals 1 gram of concentrate equals 100 milligrams in a THC-infused product. So we were saying 100 milligrams in a THC-infused product. And so it just depends on what else is mixed with that. If you take a bottle of Everclear and pour it into a bathtub full of water, you're not going to have the same drink that you would have if you drank the Everclear out of the bottle.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so we diluted it so much that it would not even be effective in a medical cannabis dispensary to sell that drink. I think that was your question earlier.
Yeah. Hold that thought. We're up against the break. We're out of time. I've got another guest coming up, but I want to hold you guys through the break, and I want to give you the opportunity, Representative Yancey, to make a pitch when we come back, why you think this bill ultimately should be passed today, and then we'll wrap the conversation up. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Representative Lee Yancey and Phillip Chamblee kind enough to stay through the break. I just kind of wanted to give Representative Yancey the last word on this. I know it's going to the Senate floor today, a pretty significant vote. I got to be honest with you. I'm conflicted on this a little bit. I think you know that from our conversation. But I will say it is extremely concerning to me that if this bill doesn't pass today, what is de facto recreational marijuana stays on the shelves in gas stations and is very available to children. That's the biggest concern for me as we sit here right now. So final word from you as we wrap this up. Got another guest coming in, and I really appreciate your time this morning.
Well, we passed the bill. We had to have a 3/5 vote because it does have a tax on these products. We passed it in the House yesterday. It failed in the Senate by 1 vote, which is held on a motion to reconsider. I think we're going to sine die today. I think the bill's dead in the Senate. So I think you guys accomplished what you wanted. You killed the bill, and you're going to get these products another year in the gas station. And I hope.
Well, who is you guys?
You guys is the media. You guys is the lobbyist. You guys is the intoxicating hemp world, the black money.
Wait, so are you suggesting that this is not a topic that we should really dive into and discuss on the radio?
I think it would be great if you had both sides on the radio, and you finally do on the last day after the Senate and House have already voted, and it's already a done deal.
The conference report came out on Friday with all of this, or at least that's when it was made available that we found it. Has it been there longer than that?
This bill was filed in early January and has been coming through the system just like every other bill. And, I've been a guest on this program many times in the past. I've been a guest on middays many times in the past. Happy to talk about it. But, no one's ever showed any interest.
You're welcome anytime on this program. Hey, you got an open invitation, as do all of our elected officials in the state of Mississippi. But painting me as you guys when we have a discussion about it, that kills the bill.
A misrepresentation that has no one to stand up for the other side and doesn't have anyone there to say, no, that's not what this does. This is the opposite of what you think. This bill has a lot of good things in it. And, no one ever asked. It's just assumed. It's just everyone hears this is in the cannabis world or the hemp world, the marijuana world, so it must be bad. We've got to be against it. And you get everybody all stirred up. I have been dealing with this issue for over 3 years, and it is a constant battle, whether it's to legalize products in a very limited way for people who are dying, or if it is to try to get this stuff out of the gas station. I'm fighting battles on every front. And you can't always get 100% of what you want. And to be able to get what I wanted by allowing a Shirley Temple hemp drink that has 5 milligrams in a 355,000 milligram can that does nothing was worth it. It was a good bill. It should have passed. Everyone should have seen that wants to get these products out of the hands of children. But all we hear on the radio is they're trying to make marijuana recreational. This is the first step for recreational marijuana. And that is the last thing I'm trying to do. I feel like my integrity is impugned every time I hear something like that. Because that's
you
not
must have been
that's
listening
not
to
what
a
I'm doing.
different program if you think I said that this is the first step to recreational marijuana, because those words never came out of my mouth.
Those were the emails that were being sent to everyone. And
yeah,
so,
but emails, whatever, but that's not what I said. And you just said the radio is to blame for this bill dying, and my program is the reason to blame for that.
I said you were a contributor to it dying.
Well, I never said that this was the first step toward recreational marijuana.
No, those were the emails, and I have hundreds of legislators who come up to me one at a time and want to know what the heck I'm doing, and I go into it every day, and I'm fighting to get these products out of the hands of children, and I just like a little help.